ideal hideout for wild beasts. From here, they sweep down, ravaging crops and threatening the safety of people and livestock. Unable to stand idly by, the hunters set out, determined to extinguish this menace. Will the upcoming footage fully capture the intensity of this thrilling pursuit? Follow along to the end and pick the hunting moment that excites you the most. At dawn, Thomas's hunting team gathered, heading to the French hills in their familiar truck. Upon arrival, the team swiftly dispersed, taking their pre-assigned positions. Soon after, a hunter concealed in the underbrush spotted a wild boar charging across his line of sight. Not letting it escape, a decisive shot rang out. The beast was felled in an instant, unaware of what hit it. A precise, resolute shot, kicking off the day's relentless pursuit. On the eastern slope of the hill, Nick was tracking the beast's trail when a wild boar suddenly appeared before him. Seizing the moment before it sensed danger, he pulled the trigger. A rapid burst of gunfire stopped it dead in its tracks on the dry grass. Another threat was swiftly dealt with, marking another triumph in the team's relentless journey. A clean takedown was just executed by the team's finest hunter. At another angle of the hillside, a wild boar was frantically fleeing from the pursuit of a hunting dog. Unfortunately for it, the boar charged right into Thomas's ambush position. A rapid volley of gunfire rang out, leaving no other outcome. It was swiftly brought down. A quick, decisive strike, halting the beast from further harming the local people. At another vantage point, Nick lay in ambush, closely watching every movement on the opposite hillside. Through his scope, a hidden boar gradually came into view. The moment it exposed itself, a barrage of shots was unleashed, cutting off its escape. The beast collapsed instantly, no longer able to wreak further havoc. Leaving the hills of France, we move to a hunt in the frigid, snow-covered mountains. Here, the hunting team has set up a tight encirclement across the mountain. Just minutes later, the hound's barks echoed, signaling the target's position. The wild boar, surrounded, couldn't escape Jack's scope. Choosing the perfect angle, he swiftly pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, and the boar collapsed onto the white snow, its chance of escape extinguished. At the same moment, deep in the forest, another hunter spotted a familiar silhouette trudging through the thick snow. Unaware of the danger lurking ahead, the beast pressed on. Waiting for the perfect moment, a single shot rang out, halting its attempt to flee. A precise, clean shot, adding another victory to the team's tally. Today's journey comes to a close here. Every tense moment, every heart-stopping shot, from dense hills to snowy expanses, has helped ease the fears of the local people. If you're eager to follow more thrilling pursuits like these, don't forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts. See you in the next videos, where the hunts will grow even fiercer, and the beasts won't fall so easily.
Florida is renowned for its vast swamp ecosystems, teeming with all kinds of wildlife. Among them, the feral hog stands out as a highly invasive species with an explosive reproduction rate. It's estimated that over 500,000 wild hogs are currently roaming the state, causing upwards of $100 million in damage annually to agriculture and the environment. Hunting these animals isn't just a recreational thrill, it's a vital part of controlling the population and protecting Florida's delicate ecosystem. Accompanied by my fellow hunters, I set off for the nearby swampland in a compact but powerful off-road vehicle. As we reached the heart of the swamp, the first signs of wild hog activity became clear. Fresh tracks in the soft earth and a pungent odor still hanging in the air. Without delay, we circled the area, scanning for movement. There, startled by the engine noise, a hog bolted instinctively. Baldrick quickly maneuvered the vehicle to corner the target, giving me the perfect opening. I raised my rifle, took aim, and squeezed the trigger. With a sharp crack of the shot, the hog collapsed right in front of us. There was no time to celebrate. Baldrick spotted a few more hogs making a break for it. He hit the gas, determined not to let them get away. I held my rifle steady, eyes locked on their movement, and fired again. The bullet flew like lightning, striking the hog cleanly and bringing it down swiftly. Continued the pursuit. One of the hogs had been hit earlier but wasn't fully down. I signaled Baldrick to stop the vehicle as I scanned the brush for signs of movement. There it was. I rushed forward, lifted my gun, and delivered the finishing shot. The stubborn hog finally went down for good, swift and clean. Our buggy roared across the open fields, the engine's growl and earlier gunfire having stirred the whole area into chaos. Suddenly, it triggered a chain reaction. One group of hogs after another began pouring out from the thickets. I gripped my rifle tightly, never breaking focus. Any hog that entered my scope didn't stand a chance. It was shot down instantly. The number of hogs hiding in the swamp far exceeded our expectations. Every now and then, one would dash out unexpectedly, but these hogs weren't easy prey. They ran like lightning, weaving through the tall grass and brush. Still, we didn't back down. We stayed on their tail, each shot taken with precision, ensuring a clean, efficient takedown. At this point, we started to worry that our ambush spot had been compromised. The familiar engine sounds likely tipped off the hogs, scattering them quickly. Not wanting to risk losing our chance, the team decided to relocate. Following fresh tracks through thick vegetation, we made our way to an open patch of ground. Then, a strange noise broke the stillness, faint, but it set off my instincts. Heart pounding, I held my position, exhaled slowly, and fired. The shot hit dead on, dropping the hog instantly. A clean, flawless finish. We kept circling the swamp, taking each step with care to stay as quiet as possible. Suddenly, Baldrick and I locked eyes on two dark shapes. They were foraging, unaware of our presence. I waited, holding my breath until they let down their guard. Then I zeroed in on the hog to the left. Bang! The gunshot rang out, startling the hog. The other one caught the bullet clean where it stood. As the sun dipped behind the trees, peace returned to the swamp. Then, just before we called it a day, the final target emerged. A dark shape advanced into view, seemingly unfazed by the barrel aimed its way. It paused just long enough for me to line up the shot. Now, I pulled the trigger. The familiar routine played out, but the result was just as satisfying. The hog fell instantly, taken out by a single, powerful bullet. And with that, the hunt came to an end.
I never thought I would one day be holding a gun, soaring through the air in a helicopter, chasing giant wild hogs across the vast plains of Texas. And yet, what seemed like an impossible task has become a reality. This has to do with Randy, a college friend of mine. He lives in Texas and was planning a daring wild boar hunt. Wild boars are invasive, reproduce rapidly, destroy crops, attack livestock, and can even be dangerous to humans. So, ranchers have taken a drastic approach to controlling them, hunting them from helicopters. Before boarding the helicopter, I had to attend a 2-hour training session accompanied by Randy and Mike, an experienced hunter, and also our trainer. Clear. The helicopter quickly rose above the wild grasslands and sparse forests. I observed a herd of wild boars running away because the sound of the helicopter was too loud. When we were at a certain height, Mike signaled us to take aim. Of the helicopter drove the wild boars out of their hiding places. We were in charge of destroying them from the air. The sound of the explosion mixed with the noise of the helicopter caused a series of wild boars to fall. I realized that wild boars do not always stay still on the ground. They run fast, turn unexpectedly, and are very good at hiding in the bushes. Shooting from the air, while it may seem cool, is actually extremely difficult. That in the vast grasslands, hunting wild boars would be easier because our vision was also clear. As long as we aimed accurately, we could kill many wild boars at once. When large herds of wild boars are seen, the helicopter will slow down, giving us an opportunity to shoot them down. Hunting wild boar by helicopter is unlike any other hunt. The helicopter must stay high enough to be safe, but low enough to shoot accurately. The pilot and shooter must work as a team, because one misstep can give the wild boar a chance to escape. No matter how fast the wild boar is, it cannot escape the sweep from the helicopter. With the naked eye, you can see dozens of wild boars lying on the field as the helicopter moves over. There are herds of pigs that are completely destroyed. Not a single one can escape. Many of you may think that the helicopter sweep of feral pigs is cruel, but it would be even crueler if we did not act, because acres of Texas farmers' crops have been destroyed by these feral pigs. If left unchecked, there could be more feral pigs than eager to escape. You see, hunting wild boar with a helicopter is much more efficient than traditional hunting methods. Since the helicopter covers a large area, it also drives wild boars out of their hiding places. The more wild boars that appear, the more wild boars we kill. Not only operating on the field, the helicopter also covered a large plateau surrounding the field. Although there were many bushes, the wild boars still had a hard time escaping the pursuit. Over the course of 2 hours, Mike and Randy and I took out dozens of wild pigs. Some were taken down instantly, others required several shots. At times, entire herds were so deeply hidden in the brush that we had to circle them several times to force them out. All the wild boars that were shot down were very large in size. Presumably, they were the lead pigs involved in the farm destruction. Helicopter wild boar usually lasts only 2 hours to ensure the health of the hunters. After landing, they inventory the spoils. Some will be given to local families. Some will be taken to slaughterhouses for meat processing. Our our dramatic journey of hunting pigs from the sky has ended. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to watch more videos. I am a farmer in South Texas where corn and soybean fields stretch out endlessly. But behind the peaceful facade lies a war that few people see. The war with feral pigs. Feral pigs have long been a vicious invasive species, destroying crops, digging up soil, and confronting hunters when cornered. In recent years, I have learned to become a hunter, not out of passion, but for a living. The war is often fought with traps and guns. The trap I chose was a corral trap, a circular trap with a trapdoor made from wire mesh panels about 1.5 meters high. Inside, we baited it with corn mixed with fat and wine, which wild boars particularly love. They can't resist the smell. To effectively trap wild boars, we need to set the traps several days in advance so that the wild boars are not alert. To effectively trap wild boars, you need to install surveillance cameras to capture the wild boar's activity time. After many times approaching the corn bait without encountering danger, more wild boars will appear. Through the camera, we know the time and number of wild boars entering the trap. We can remotely control the trap to trigger and capture the prey. Early in the morning, we moved to the trap location to harvest wild boars. Although we knew in advance that there were many wild boars in the trap, we still felt nervous when facing them. As we approached the trap, the wild boars panicked and rushed at the bars, growling and trying to break through the cage. We did not shoot them immediately, but looked around, making sure that the wild boars did not fall into the trap. When we saw no danger around, we aimed and killed each wild boar. Each accurate shot took down the wild boar immediately, ending it quickly. That was the moral rule we set, which was not to let them suffer for long. To get a quick and clean shot, we needed to aim precisely at the head and chest. After killing these wild boars, we loaded them onto the truck. The wild boars were so heavy that my whole body almost swayed. These wild boars would be processed to make full use of them. Nothing would be wasted. After bringing the wild boars back from the traps, we returned to the guardhouse on the south side, where the barley fields and the wild woods met. This was where the pigs often came out at midday to find water. I hid on the high watchtower, my gun ready, my eyes fixed on the binoculars. Around 11 a.m., a herd of wild boars appeared. I took a breath, adjusted my scope. At a distance of 50 meters, I aimed at the leader and pulled the trigger. The explosion rang out in the silence, causing the remaining herds to scatter. The one that was shot staggered, but still ran away. I slid down to the hut, followed the tracks, and found the wild boar, collapsed about 100 meters from the hut. While waiting, we moved closer to the farm area where the terrain was flat and wild boars often appeared in large herds. In the blazing sun, I could clearly smell the scent of soil, grass, and wild boar mixed together. I held the gun firmly in my hand. As soon as the wild boar appeared, I pulled the trigger. Thanks to the accurate shot and good vision, we continued to kill a few more wild boars. Although we hunted a lot of wild boar, we were not very excited, because this was not a recreation hunt. The goal was to prevent wild boar infestation and limit their population. All wild boars hunted will be transported by us to the staging area. After inventory, they will be sent to local slaughterhouses. Hunting wild boars in the U.S. is not only a farmer's act of self-defense against crop damage, but also an art of balancing survival and humanity. Traps help me take the initiative, guns help me finish quickly, but the most important thing is still the heart, cold enough to pull the trigger, warm enough to remember that every fallen animal is the flesh and blood of this land. Our journey of hunting wild boars with traps and guns has ended. How do you feel about today's video? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications.